Victoria and Lily were found in deplorable conditions. Their parents gone. Alone in the wilderness for at least 5 years.
Hey, Victoria.
How they survived is unexplainable.
I'm your daddy's brother. Remember Uncle Luke?
With a loving family environment, Victoria and Lily have a real chance at a normal life.
You sure about this?
Nope.
Alright guys, sorry I'm getting this one out late to you. This review is for Mama, starring Jessica Chastain, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, and the two Gollums. No, seriously, this film is about a couple of young girls who are found in the woods, left inside a dilapidated, rat-filled house right off the freeway. And I mean, no, in all seriousness, they're supposed to be in, like, this remote location, but ultimately, you gotta get the feeling that if you walked off the side of the road, you'd probably just run into this house by default. Basically, where we get this film kicked off, the two young girls, they have this strange, crazy, tragic family incident that occurs that basically leaves them wound up inside of this house, abandoned. And we fast forward 5 years later from this point, where we have Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who plays the awesome Uncle Luke, who is the fun uncle, you know, and he's that guy who has the punk rock girlfriend, played by Jessica Chastain, fresh from Zero Dark 30 to jet black and punky. And, I mean, that's basically where our story is. I mean, we get to know these characters, and we learn that Uncle Luke is looking for these girls. He's blowing his money, basically putting himself in the poorhouse, trying to find these girls who have been missing for 5 years. Going from there, the girls are found, and basically, we basically come to find that the girls have a surrogate protector who is immediately thought of as just the imaginations of young girls creating imaginary friends. But ultimately, we find out that this imaginary friend is Mama. And this is a bad, freaky bitch. I mean, she just looks like that type of ghost. Like, I mean, we kind of have evolved from the early days when we would remake these Japanese films, these Japanese horror movies, J-horror, if you will, where we pretty much give these ghost, the long white dress, the nappy black long hair, and she's kind of a throwback to that, but I actually think she's probably a little bit freakier than anything I've seen in these movies. Now, that is basically your general plot. I mean, we insert Jessica Chastain, who plays the punk rock girlfriend, Annabelle, who pretty much lets you know from the get-go she has zero interest in children. And, I mean, she kind of comes off as an unlikable character, but ultimately, she does win you over with time. Now, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who you all may know as Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones, I was very excited seeing the trailer for this movie because I was like, alright, I actually get to see this guy in something other than Game of Thrones. Well, don't get too excited, he's actually not in the movie very much. So, don't really go thinking, oh man, this is gonna be Jaime Lannister all up in this. No, it's not. It's actually quite the opposite. Jessica Chastain is the real star here. And as well as the two young girls. The two young girls are played really well. One is played very feral, whereas the other one is a little bit more caught back into the more modernization, and she is easier to adapt to being back in the real world, whereas the younger daughter, the younger sister, is more caught up into still being feral and can hardly talk. One of the things I really like about it is that the older girl, who is Victoria, is kind of the buffer between Waldau and Chastain's characters towards Lily, who is the younger girl, niece, sister, daughter, whatever. She doesn't really speak a whole lot. She kind of has this whole broken speech thing going on, but she crawls around like Gollum. She sleeps outside. She crawls out of boxes. I mean, she typical kid shit, but she is really good at this, and I thought she was one of the stronger parts of the film. The acting as a whole is very good. But one of the problems I kind of had with it is the fact that we're hitting those same ghost movie tropes, where there is, the wrong that needs to be set to right. There is, the one thing that can make the ghost go away, but we're gonna hold this shit like the ace of spades until the very end of the game, and finally we're gonna slap that ace of spades on the table and go, ha, we got you. And that's one of those things, I mean, I'm used to it. I mean, it's typical ghost movie shit, but I mean, let's face it, it's kind of old, it's kind of tired. The movie otherwise does a very good job. I mean, I don't think it's the freakiest movie I've ever seen, but it definitely had a few good scenes in there that I thought were very effective. But ultimately, on the whole, the movie I can't recommend to everybody. It doesn't have that one thing for everybody. And to those of you who are familiar with the game Mass Effect, it kind of pulls one of those Mass Effect moves towards the end of the film where they kind of give you this dick out of nowhere ending that makes absolutely no sense in the great scheme of things, but it's one of those that I still felt like it didn't ruin the movie or anything, much like the same way I feel for Mass Effect, but ultimately I still felt like, I don't really think that this ending really works. I kind of feel like you tried to pull a Pan's Labyrinth with me, and Pan's Labyrinth pulled it off a lot better. Now, I know to those who hear me say that go, well, wait a minute, isn't Guillermo del Toro involved with this? Yes, but he is a producer. Now, he may be the chief producer involved, but ultimately he is not directing this film, so I kind of feel like it was a shit move overall. But one thing I do want to say is, yes, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, awesome. Even though he's not really in it for very much, he's given very little ado, I felt like he did a good job with what was left to him. As far as Jessica Chastain goes, I feel like she did a very amazing job. I felt like she did exactly what was called for. She came in as what should have been an unlikable character. She sold herself very well, and she also sold herself as growing to change and become a more likable figure within the movie and gain the hearts and trust of the two girls in question, Victoria and Lily. But overall, I still feel like this movie does lack a little bit. It does drag a little bit. I mean, if I had a wrap it up button, I probably would have hit it at some point in this movie. Now, getting past that, how do I feel about it? Do I ultimately feel like I could recommend it to every single person? No. I feel like this movie is a must-see on TV. I mean, I just, that's the only way I can throw it. This isn't one of those movies I feel like you have to see in a theater. I think it actually lends itself better to when you can sit at home and kind of watch it at your own pace and on your own time. And, I mean, I still think you'll get an enjoyment out of it. It's not to say that the movie is bad. It's just to say that the movie isn't particularly anything new or anything you haven't already seen before, but I still feel it's enjoyable. And that is my review for Mama. And keep it real with me like I keep it real with you. Comment down in the comment sections. Let me know what you think and tickle that subscribe button for me. And stay tuned for more content.
I think someone's coming to visit them. Victoria was under the bed.
A ghost is an emotion bent out of shape, condemned to repeat itself time and time again.